Canada has made another serious blunder. On Friday, the Canadian Parliament welcomed a guest. And no, I'm not talking about Ukrainian President Zelensky, although he too was a guest. I'm talking about this man, 98-year-old Yaroslav Hunka. He was a special guest. Canadian lawmakers and Zelensky celebrated him. They gave him a standing ovation. The Canadian speaker called him a war hero. Today, he's sorry for using those words. Because this man is not a war hero, he's a Nazi. And the Canadian government has egg on its face. The same Canada that claims to have credible intelligence about India couldn't figure out that there was a Nazi in their midst. Tells you a lot about Canadian sleuths and their abilities. They say they've intercepted communications, exchanges involving Indian diplomats, and that the US has provided more information. But it's all top secret. They still haven't shared any of this proof with the world. What about naming Niger's killer? Or investigating Khalistanis, or cracking down on their separatist campaign, or probing their links to terrorists? What has Canada done on this front? Dragging their feet and living in denial, that's what they've done. But it seems India is not waiting anymore. New Delhi is going after Khalistanis and their sympathizers in India. Raids are being conducted, properties are being seized, and there are plans to cancel OCI cards. These are cards granted to people of Indian origin to give them better access to India. But Khalistanis won't have them anymore. Like I said, it's been a busy weekend for the Indian security establishment. They conducted multiple raids. A house and some agricultural land was seized. This was in the Indian state of Punjab. These properties were owned by a man called Gurpatwant Singh Pannu. He's a Khalistani. He leads a group called SFJ, Sikhs for Justice. SFJ, it's a banned outfit in India. Pannu himself was declared a terrorist by India in the year 2020, and for good reason. He's the face of SFJ. He regularly features in their videos, making hateful comments, threatening the Indian leadership and challenging India's sovereignty. Last month, Pannu led a rally in Canada. He raised the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar. He called for the political assassination of Prime Minister Modi and his team. Nijjar was shot in the month of June. He was shot dead. He too was a Khalistani and a designated terrorist. Canada has launched a diplomatic war with India over his death. Their Prime Minister Justin Trudeau spoke about it in Parliament last week. He said, there's an Indian hand in the murder, although he hasn't given any proof yet. Neither has his government. There is limited information in the public domain, and most of it comes from selective leaks. The Canadian establishment is planting stories in the Western press. These reports claim that Canada has intelligence intercepts, but they do not get into the specifics. As for India, it denies all the allegations and it has been asking for proof. But this is a dangerous game. You see, Justin Trudeau is fanning the dying embers of Khalistan. His words and actions have infused life into the separatist campaign. They want to break India up, to form a separate state called Khalistan. And this movement has a violent history. It led to the assassination of a sitting Indian Prime Minister. It also led to Canada's worst terrorist attack, the bombing of a civilian plane. But while India sees this as a national security threat, the Canadian government sees Khalistanis as a vote bank. They will not crack down on these separatists. So India is doing the needful. After seizing Pannu's property, assets of other Khalistanis have also been identified. They're based not just in Canada, but also in the UK, the US, and Australia. Their properties could be seized too. And India could go after their OCI cards. OCI stands for Overseas Citizenship of India. An OCI card is a form of permanent residency. These are given to non-resident Indians or NRIs. If you have an OCI card, you can travel to India without a visa, stay here indefinitely, and even work here. Now, reports say India plans to revoke such access to Khalistanis, so they won't be able to travel to India. There is no official confirmation on this yet, but last week, New Delhi cancelled visa services to Canadians, so the OCI move may follow. Reports say dozens of OCI card holders are on New Delhi's radar. They face the risk of losing their cards. India is taking a strong position on this. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar is in New York. He gave a statement, and the statement has raised eyebrows. Listen to what he said. I think more than political will, there is political pressure for change. There is growing sentiment in the world, and the global south, in a way, embodies it. But there's also political resistance. They will all mouth the right things, but the reality is still, today, it's a world very much of double standards. Now, this is being seen as a dig at Justin Trudeau. He remains adamant about taking on India. But some of his ministers are taking a softer line, like Bill Blair. Bill Blair is the Defence Minister of Canada. Yesterday, he spoke about Canada's ties with India. He called it an important partnership. Let me also quote from what he said. We understand that this can be and has proven to be a challenging issue with respect to our relationship with India. Blair said Canada will continue its investigation into the killing of Niger. At the same time, it will pursue partnerships in the Indo-Pacific. So is there a division of sorts in Trudeau's team? Or is the ground being prepared for some kind of truce? Reports say there is talk of a back channel in Washington, D.C., of the U.S. trying to broker peace. We'll be keeping a close eye.